you know, there would be a requirement to file further, you know, notice of intent with conservation if they decide to do any additional work. But again, this is just for the planning stage of the project. And that's pretty well, that's my presentation.
Does anyone have any questions on the board?
I have a few pictures, but it's, you know, it's just woods basically, so.
Woods and trees.
It shows one of the little channels. And
Yeah, there were some ditches. There was irrigation on this property probably 40 or 50 years ago. Someone tried to dry it out with some trenches, and it pretty much, the trenches are still there, but the wetlands are there as well. So.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns that we need to discuss?
I don't, since we're just trying to determine if the marking of the line is correct, really, I don't have any questions at this point. If we were looking at it as an NOI, then I would certainly be asking about where the access into the two lots is going to be put in, since it looks like they have a line for a property line in the middle.
Yeah, there's two lots there at the moment, and there's frontage. There's more than one frontage to access the upland from the street. So if you look at the map, you'll see there's an area, a couple of areas on lot 1 where you have access to the road and you don't need to cross through wetlands at all. And you might actually have a common driveway going in into the property, and then you wouldn't have to cross wetlands at all. So the property over on the right side or the southern side, there's a couple of areas of wetlands if you wanted to come in from a street in that area. But quite honestly, I think a common driveway would be the better way to go. Then you wouldn't have to pass through wetlands at all. But
Yeah, I would agree on that.
Yeah, that's up to the planning board, if you know, or zoning, if they allow a common driveway, we could go with that. But again, I'm just thinking out loud at the moment.
Yeah, this is Dan. I got a question. How large is this area, and how many house lots are you thinking of having in there?
Well, right now it's 2 lots, and if you look at the frontage requirements, I'm not really sure what Mr. Marr has in mind, but he has 2 or 3 areas where there is frontage. But the lot is, you have town water and sewer in the street, which would affect the amount of area. But if you look at the map on lot 1, there's 8. I'll have to read my plan because that's kind of small. But lot 1 has 8.38 acres, and lot 2 has 8.35. Basically, the combined area is a little over 16 and a half acres. And you can see it's probably 35% wetland. So the availability of lots, they might potentially have 4 lots there in the back. But again, you know, I'm thinking about trying to access it with a common driveway. It'd be better off. But again, that's really up to the planning and zoning. But they're not planning on like putting in a subdivision. They just want to go with frontage, the frontage that's on the street now with driveways.
Any other questions? Concerns?
I'm good.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for negative determination on Lower Gore Road.
Okay, could I interject here?
Sure.
I believe that because of the natural heritage requirement, we would need a positive determination stating that, in fact, the property does require, you know, a notice of intent. A negative determination would say that we didn't.
Right, so you need a
I believe you'd want to have a positive.
with the wetland line,
Right.
with checking off the wetland line is approved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So Fred, would you like to change that motion to a positive?
I will change it to a positive. I just assumed this was just kind of preliminary to make sure that they had the ducks in a row.
Yeah, it's a new one on me too. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Mary, do you want to poll?
Yes. Dan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
great.
Mary, you'll want to put me as an abstain, obviously.
Yes, I am writing that in right now. Excellent.
Okay, so Michelle, you ready to turn it over back to me, or you want to continue?
Now back to you, Joey.
Okay, all right. Mr. Murphy, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you're in a cool place, and
Very cool.
I'm sure we'll see you again.
Yes, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, so picking up from last week's tail end of the meeting here. So we're in discussion items now. So 39 Colonial Road, COC. We have a few COCs to get through. We've got 39 Colonial Road.
Yeah.
Joanne, was that you? Is that your property?
No, she's 61. Do you want to move 61 Wakefield?
Okay, yeah, we can see how she's here. Yeah, let's move her through.
Okay.
Joanne Mills.
And let me share my screen, actually.
So 61 Wakefield Ave. Looking to get a COC DEP number 323553.
All right, so, we actually found the original plans. This is from like 2000.
Wow.
And so the project was for a whole bunch of little additions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then work on the And then actually there was an amendment. So there's two things going here. So this is the first plan. And then I will show you the second plan. And so they got an amendment to replace their stairs down to the water. And there was a wall. And then they wanted to put riprap on the slope. And they had, so this is so nice to find a file that's organized. Thank you, Joanne. I don't know whether you did this back then, but they even had lovely pictures. If I can find that.
Was this NOI, Mary, was any extension done on it?
No, so this is long since expired.
Okay.
And you know what, I'm afraid I accidentally deleted the lovely pictures that they had of the original house. And it's too bad because you could see the picture of the wall really well that they were replacing.
I saw some photos you sent, and it looked,
Yeah.
it looks very nice.
Yeah, everything is in good shape. These are old. Okay. So yeah. So they had pictures of that. What they did is really, they changed it a lot. So, well, if we go down to the steps, where are the steps?
So we don't have any kind of as-built with this?
This is a long, it wasn't required
Okay.
back then. So these are the steps that they ended up replacing. And what they had is, there was a retaining wall all along the bank, but what they ended up doing is it's, now they, I don't know whether there's riprap underneath, but it's kind of naturally vegetated. It's got sweet pepper bush right now, it looks gorgeous. Some birch
Yeah,
trees.
that's good.
It's really nice. And you can see that riprap slope is up here. The riprap is, of course this is old, but you know, the vegetation's come in nicely, completely covered with whatever that is, a ground juniper or something.
It looks like ground juniper, yeah.
That turned out really nice. I don't see any issues here at all. The additions, you know, there are these little, and that kind of shows the slope again, more around the property. They do have this gravel. It does seem to be held back. I guess that's maybe the only issue on this property is the gravel maybe filtering down, but they have some wood kind of holding it back. Joanne, I don't know whether you want to talk about that, but did we lose her? We lost her earlier. Let's see if she's there. Oh, yeah, we lost her.
Is she in the queue to come back in?
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Joanne, are you back yet? Not yet. Anyway, here's a picture of the house from the driveway. And more pictures of the additions. There's a lot of little pieces of this house. All right.
Okay.
So I guess the only question might be this area here. It wasn't, I'm not sure that it was a part of the original of this order of conditions, but everything else looks really good. So.
Joanne, are you able to unmute yourself? Mary, are you able to unmute her?
Yeah, I'll try her. I'll try doing that.
Unmute. I got it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can.
I'm sorry.
So your lovely home came out really great.
Thank you.
Got one question about where there's some pea stone.
Yes.
How are you stopping that from going down the embankment and getting into the water?
Well, there's a mat, and you can't see it, but there's a little fencing like oh, not a chain link fence, but something short, that's a little shorter than the hedge height.
Okay.
And there's a weed mat, and that butts up against this little fencing. And it's been there for so long, you don't see it because the plants have grown into the fencing. So it does a nice job with preventing it from slipping down the slope.
Okay. Mary, did you see any slipping at all?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I just noticed that it,
She's gonna end up holding stuff in. That looks pretty thick. I don't particularly think I have any issues with it. I think everything looks great. The embankments are beautiful.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions, concerns, feedback?
I don't have any concerns.
Okay,
I'm good.
I'm all set.
great. So do we want to make a motion on issuance of a certificate of compliance for 61 Wakefield Ave?
I'll
I'll
make
make
that
the
one.
motion that we issue the certificate of compliance for 61 Wakefield Ave.
All right, so that was Dan, and then
I'll second.
I heard Michelle second. All right, Mary, you want to poll us?
yes, Dan,
Yes,
Fred,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes. All right, Joanne Mills, thank you so much. Stay cool and beautiful property. Thank you.
All right, and thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Great. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, I'm seeing a Laura here. Laura, are you able to unmute yourself? Are you here for which property are you here for?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for seeing me. I am at 18 Black Point Road. We received a, go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, she's the what issue with the boat, so.
Okay. All right, so why don't we need to move through some of these other items first before we get to that, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so
Okay.
we'll be with you just in a few, okay?
Yep, I'm here when you're ready.
All right, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
All right. All right, folks, so 39 Colonial Road, a COC DEP number 3230998.
All right. So this one is more recent. It's from 2014. Here's plans. So it was a demolition and a rebuild. So they, so it's a tight lot. This is the driveway area. It's all paved. Part of the plan was to put a cul-de-sac in, but then he came back and asked for an amendment, allowing him to remove the cul-de-sac, and the commission at the time granted the amendment. And so and instead there were supposed to be dry wells. And so it looked like the dry wells were installed. So that's kind of one. And the main thing to notice here is the patio. So patio's on here, but what they ended up doing is the patio is here, and then they've got pavers pretty much this whole section here too. It's a small lot. There's not a lot of pervious area. This section is grass, and part of this section is grass. I can pull up the pictures now. But at the time on the plans, I couldn't find any impervious calculations on the plan looking at the percent impervious coverage. So that may not have been required at the time. Oh, this is being slow. Let's see. And here's the second page of the plans, or the first page actually. All right, so sorry, I showed them in wrong order. So that there was a garage there. They pulled it down. And here's the new house. And then if you want to
Here,
look,
you may need to yeah, I was gonna say you may need to reshare because we didn't see any photos.
oh, you've just seen the plans, right?
Yeah, were you showing photos at all?
Not yet, here's pictures.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay. And so here's a picture of one gutter going into a dry well.
Okay.
Here is kind of the back of the house with stone patio here, stone patio there. These were on the plans, and he was here to put a roof over his deck. We gave him an RDA for that just a month or so ago. And this is one of the side of his house. Again, this is a gutter going into a dry well. But notice up top here, in front of the house, the gutters go into dry wells. On the rear, this is just open. Okay, but that's
Good.
so. And I think that was, I think the commission potentially allowed that at the time when they waived the Coltac. Here's the front of his house, or the roadside, showing the driveway. This is the lower area between the water and the retaining wall, which is not shown to be patio on the plan, or not shown to be, you know, pavers on the plans. Another picture of the patios. Just another view. And then he only has a little bit of grass up against the retaining wall. It is like 2.5 inches. I mean, it's maybe not perfect, but I thought it was reasonable. There's certainly a little bit of a lip.
So Mary, where's that grass in relation to all those pavers? It's hard to tell.
Okay, yeah, so this will help you understand that. So here's all the pavers, and here's that grass. Like this is the step back of what we're looking. So he only has like 5 or 6 feet of grass and retaining wall. That's the entirety of it.
And do you think that water flowing from that gutter hits the grass and never makes it to the lake?
It might. It might. So yeah, that gutter kind of, and I'm not sure, you know, when the commission originally permitted this and they made the amendment. So.
Well, I would point out that it's landing on the pavers, so
Yeah.
a lot of the force is being taken out at that point, and there's not much slope on that lawn.
It is very flat for the most part. Yeah.
It's going to take its sweet time getting down to the lake. Some of it will, but the majority of it will probably get absorbed in the lawn.
Okay. But other than that, anything that hits the patio and then hits the pavers, hits the water, all heated up from all the stone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of bothered by that.
Yeah, well, this was done before we started doing the impervious calculations.
Yeah.
That actually came in right around the time I came on the board, where it was starting to be enforced.
But the pavers are unpermitted, right? They're not on the plan?
They are not on the plan yet. So
If we, I think if we were to ask him to put a small, one of those little tubes on the bottom and direct it right to the lawn, it would be good. But then you're risking the water shooting right out of that one of those tubes and zipping along the lawn. So, I mean, is it better because it won't be heated up by the patio? I mean, yeah.
Well, the water that's coming down the gutter is not going to get much of a thermal impact because most of it is probably heading towards the direction of the lawn.
Yeah.
You know, it's not running through the pavers. Granted, the water that hits the pavers as rain, that is going to be affected by the heat.
Yeah.
And after the pavers, you're on top of the wall? Is that sort of how it works?
All right, let's go back to that. So it's kind of like a 3-tier thing. They have a patio here under the deck, and then the patio here. And then you step down, there's stairs down, and you go down to this level. And it's about, I mean, I think the pavers are slightly lower than the retaining wall, but maybe 1.5 inches. But yeah, pretty much this is the water right there.
Okay.
So regardless of where the water goes, I mean, it's traveling a distance, so.
Well, and I'm disturbed that it's unpermitted.
Yeah. Another, and I should probably call the neighbor. So this is not on his land, but this is the neighbor. We've got mulch going right over the retaining wall there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one with the hosta picture where you see it?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
neighbor.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Michelle, you might want to donate some hostas to them.
Yeah. Right? If all that mulch is going flying, they don't have enough hosta.
All right, anyway, let's try to seal these up. So do we have a recommendation on this? I mean, what's done is unfortunately done here, and I mean, this was well before most of our time, so.
Yeah, but it's still within our hands for a certificate of compliance, and I feel like this is unpermitted, so there should be consequences to unpermitted. But I don't know what the right correction is to make it.
Well, if the permit is expired, is the permit expired, Mary?
2014. Yeah, it's expired. That's why we had him file an RDA for his roof over the deck.
It's too bad we didn't catch that.
You know, I didn't look at the plans and realize that of the paver discrepancy until recently.
Well, I'm kind of surprised we gave him an RDA when he had an open order of conditions.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe I should have told you guys that. I mean, I knew that, and he knew that. He submitted the RDA and the request for certificate of compliance at the same time. I pushed the RDA through because his thing was leaking. And that's why I was putting the roof. His doors were leaking, and he knew. Anyway, and I kind of pushed this off because our meetings were so heavily loaded for about a month ago.
I get it.
Yeah, and I actually didn't realize this was an issue. So I mean, we could do, I don't know, you could write them a letter and say, you know, look, commission, either you grant the COC and say, you know, look, but really what should have happened is this, just kind of a general educational piece, or you could have them possibly file an RDA for that patio.
Yeah, but we'd never permit the patio as it is anyway.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
What was the patio supposed to be? Lawn?
Do you want to look at the plans again?
Yeah. Mary, does he still have an RDA open now?
Yeah.
Can we make an amendment on the RDA and pull that into what this current RDA?
I don't know whether you can.
Just to make it, just to make it easy on.
Right.
No, he did something that he shouldn't have, but you know, I mean, if there's a current open,
Yeah, so, and this shows, so here's the patio, the limits of the patio on the plan. And so this whole area down here, I mean, they basically just, so it is a,
it's a large surface area that became,
right,
you know, impervious, so. I mean,
Well, actually, Joey and Michelle, I'm taking a look at the pictures, and
Yeah.
the original plan shows the upper patio is actually a couple feet away from the edge of the stone wall as well. And that what they actually did is they brought it right up to the wall.
yeah, I think there's a lower wall though too. There was two sections, so they show these stairs.
Right. So your first set of patio is right under the deck.
Right.
Then you have that slightly lower one.
Yeah.
On your plans right there, it's showing a setback from that elevation of the proposed wall.
yeah,
There's supposed to be a strip of lawn there as well.
Right.
And if you look at his pictures of what they actually did is they brought the patio right out to that wall.
Yep. Yeah, so like a wall-to-wall patio.
Right.
Well, there's two, I mean, this is a wall here too.
Yes. But Mary, I'm not even talking about the
Oh,
lower
you're talking about-
patio.
yes,
I'm talking about the upper patio.
Yeah, the upper patio wasn't that big. Yeah, they just went just a foot basically. Yeah. Yeah, and if you go back to the pictures, you can see, where's the best pictures of it?
The next one. Right there.
Yeah, yeah, you can see, and that's nice. That's nicely squared off, and yeah, that's fine.
the lower patio, was there anything for the lower patio to be done?
No, that was all supposed to be lawn.
This was supposed to be lawn. Yeah.
All right, so can we pull that in with the current filing?
Pull it in for what? Allow it?
Well, I mean, what else would you like to do, Michelle? I mean,
I don't know, Joey. I don't want to condone people adding on impervious areas to their house because they feel like it and don't come before us. Right?
Well-
Anybody who came before us with this plan, we would have said absolutely not. You got to put impervious pavers, or you got to put a strip of lawn, or you got to put something to catch the water before it flows over all that stone.
yeah,
So I don't feel good about saying, oh, all right, so you took your own plan, made your own plan, and we're just gonna say, okay, and roll it into this RDA you happen to have open.
but
I mean, if the rest of the commission wants to do it, that's fine. It's
on the
everybody else.
flip, but on the flip side, what was done before and what was permitted, if it has been done and it's completed and there's no issues, then he deserves his COC. I mean, that is, you know, what we got to really look at here. As far as this additional, what happened here,
Mhm.
you know, I was saying maybe, you know, as kind of a, you know, sort of a way to, I mean, there's nothing we can do about this now except for look at it and find out what kind, if there's anything going on with this, but have it put in with his current RDA.
Well, okay, if you say that's all that we can do, then we're setting ourselves up in the future that if I want to do something beyond what I have in my plan, I just do it because there's nothing you can do after it's done.
Well, I point out that in 2014, that would have been allowed by the Conservation Commission. So, you know, you have to take into account the fact that what's there would have been approved by the Concom at the time. We have become much stricter in the past several years. So if somebody were to do that today, then yes, there would be, you would have consequences, but that was a legitimate structure at the time it was built.
Yeah, I'm not concerned with all the stuff that was in the plan that got done. I'm concerned with the thing that wasn't in any plan that was done.
Right, it was not in the plan, but had they come in for an amendment, it would have been approved.
Okay.
So why don't we do this, Mary? I guess, well, I mean, based on what was in the plan before, it's done, it's completed. Rightfully, he should get his COC. We should send him a letter that we noticed that the lower patio was paved and it was originally not supposed to be. And also, we should use it as an educational, teachable moment that, you know, any coloring outside the boundaries on your RDA or your NOI, you have to partner with the commission. And this was not done. Which probably, I mean, I don't know if we should take a look at,
But, Mary, can you go back to the plan for me for a second?
Yeah.
should probably check in on his RDA and make sure he's not doing additional stuff on the current RDA.
Hey, can you see that good?
Yeah, I can see that.
I can go in a little bit more.
Mary, you visited the house. Do you have any concerns?
Everything's well kept up. It looks nice. I mean, this was the only issue I had at all. So.
Aiden, is there anything that you notice?
That's what I'm going back through the photos. I mean, he made some deviations from what the plan was. You know, if you look at the lower portion with the erosion control plan,
Yeah.
you have your stairs that come down, and then it looks like those stairs were supposed to go to lawn as well. So I mean, he expanded the patio up there as well as put a lower patio in. So it's when we send it to him, we should highlight the changes that he made that he should have addressed, so that he knows that, you know, we're aware of what he was supposed to be doing, and we're also aware of what he did, but we're trying to work with what is already done. You know, because to me, that lawn strip would have helped with the water runoff being put back into the ground before it gets down to the lake. And then to have that lower wall, it looks like, and Barry, I don't know, because I didn't go out there and see any of this. This was before my time. Did he change the way he did that retaining wall over on the kind of the left-hand side where it comes back at an angle?
Well, yeah, and actually,
with your photos, did he just cut the wall off, or did he make the turn like he showed it?
yeah, no, I think the retaining wall is different as well. I think you're right on that. Because I think this is straight grass all the way across here. And then over here, I'm not sure I have a picture of that, but that's where the mulch was on the neighbor's property. Let's see.
Oh, see how this goes into a dry well, Mary? Given the fact, we could probably figure out how much square footage of pervious he put in there, and maybe he should dig a dry well in right here.
Right there. Yeah, he could.
Connect it in. Yeah, because that looks like quite a bit of square footage of pervious that got added.
Yep, it is. So here you can kind of see, okay, so this is what, instead of having the wall turn around on that side, it just goes along the patio. You see there? And so then the lawn goes straight down. Yeah, there's the other picture. So the lawn goes straight down to the water.
down to the lower wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so those they're not just small changes. I mean, those were fundamental changes. And, you know, they should have known to come back on that, in my purview at least. And, you know, I wasn't around in 2014. So I can't speak to what the commission would have done at that time. But from an educational standpoint, they should understand that the work that was shown on the plan is the work that was supposed to be done. Anything above and beyond or change to it should have been put before us as an amendment.
Yeah.
So do they need to come back to us with an IBA that covers all the changes that we're just talking about?
I would think that we could hold the certificate of, if we want him to dig a dry well there, we could not release the certificate of compliance and just have that as a requirement for getting his certificate of compliance.
What is the commission, I mean, you know, how does the commission feel about that idea, Fred, for that one downspout? Doesn't look like he's got any other downspouts there. And would it make a difference? That's the question, you know,
Well, he's now got a new roof there as well, Joey.
Right.
Yeah.
So where's that roof draining to?
Yeah.
and he's actually currently adding now.
Right. So the roof that we recently approved and putting on, where's that one draining into? Because if he's going to have to put in a dry well, maybe he needs to make it a little bit bigger to handle the existing condition plus the new roof.
Well, the new roof is all over impervious area because it's just going over, it's coming across right here to cover his deck so that the rain doesn't make his French door leak.
Okay.
Yeah, but we certainly would be within our bounds to say that he's got to put in a dry well, because that originally should have been tied into the Cultec, and then he got the change in order to go to a set of dry wells.
I think it's a fair trade-off for the amount of impervious that has been added to just, you know, be able to dig a small dry well there. Maybe.
Well, he'd have to size it correctly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think it would be a giant, but
I'm going to guess that the deck looks like it's about 6 feet deep.
Oh, this?
No, the second story deck that's on there, which is.
Oh,
Can you zoom in on that for me, Mary?
this picture?
Yes.
Is that close enough?
Yeah.
Looks like more like 10 feet.
I have another picture from the side, which might show it better. No.
I'm thinking that looks like about one panel. So
That's what I was counting was the pickets.
Right. Oh, here's the other. I don't know whether this helps you, whether those are 1 foot blocks or not. Maybe they're not.
no, they're random. That's not as much help.
Okay. Well, we can go back to the other picture.
Those each of those railings is 8 feet long. So he's got one panel on the side, which would make that deck 8 feet, and then you got 3, which is 24. So you've got what, roughly 75 square feet. Give me a second here.
That's 4.
So he'd need roughly 6 to 7 cubic feet of dry well over there to handle that properly.
Mary, could you go down to that picture again that shows the downspout that just does not go into anything?
Yes. This one.
Yes. That downspout is on the inside of the support post. So where's the gutter that it's coming from?
That's what I was looking at underneath. It's kind of odd. It must be,
It's on the inside of that post, right where the cursor is, and there's no gutter there. It's going to be coming from somewhere.
So it looks like they ran it down the inside wall under the edge of the deck along the wall.
I'm guessing that what they did was there are probably slats on the deck. The water goes through, and they put a membrane in, which is pitched to get it to there.
Right.
And if I were placing a guess, its French door is probably having problems because the pitching wasn't quite right, and some of it's getting up against the house.
Right. That or the gutter itself, it could be the gutter system could be blocked.
Yep, probably,
You know,
possibly it has not been cleaned.
right. And those built-in drains are a bear to clean, quite frankly. I mean, you have to pull the ceiling apart to get into them.
to not sound like Joe, but what's the board's flavor on this?
I'm all for the some kind of drain.
Yeah, I'm with Michelle with the drain, and then sending a letter with some education on, you know, what they didn't do correct.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that if he builds the roof and then runs the gutter off of the roof and pipes that down into the dry well, he's going to have a lot less problems because the water's not going to get against the house in the first place.
And seeing how he's colored outside the boundaries before on his project, we should probably, I don't know, Mary, oh, these are recent, right?
These pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just out there.
So he hasn't,
He hasn't
so he is-
started that yet.
okay, all right. But we should probably look, you know, to, you know, see if he needs to have a minor modification to have, or what we approve with that RDA on that roof, to have it connect to this downspout and come out and then have a dry well put in.
Yeah, I'm just checking. These are the older pictures. Yeah, he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah, there isn't anything there.
Okay. All right, so I can connect with him. I did invite him to this meeting actually, but he didn't want to show
And
up.
if
I
he
guess.
wants, if he wants, obviously initiate the conversation with him. Let him know our concerns and our disappointments. We're gonna have to send him a letter, and then we feel that this is a fair compromise. And
Mhm.
it help his water control too. So, it really is a bonus for, and then if he needs to move that, it looks like he's got ornamental grass there. He could just dig that up and he's already got a good hole and then move that somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, all right, so can we've had some good discussion on this. Thank you. Can we get a motion on this so we can continue to move on?
I'm not sure what the motion would be, right?
Oh,
Make it.
motion of,
I make a motion to send the applicant a letter informing him of what he needs to do before we will issue the COC.
yeah.
I'll second.
All right, Dan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes. All right, 31 Hall Road, COC. DEP number 323-1141.
All right. Well, I will, it looks like I'm missing my little review, but I think all the pictures are in there.
Yeah, looks like they got a problem.
All right, this is his original plan. So what he was doing was expanding the patio a little bit and, well, basically replacing the patio and putting in retaining wall.
And he was gonna support that shed. I remember
Yes.
conversation with him. The entire back had already been pea stone.
Yeah. And so this is, yeah, these are recent pictures. So this is, the grass is not completely in, but I thought it was reasonable on the side. And I had asked him here, the stone was right up to the concrete. So I asked him to pull it, or, create some kind of 3-inch thing because of the retaining wall. And he decided to just put 2x4s on there. You guys got to decide if that's adequate. He thought that was the simplest thing to do, but it seems like it'll probably work. I don't know that they're glued down though. They're just probably sitting there.
If they're not permanently anchored, then no.
Okay.
I would recommend that he drives, drill holes in them and drive spikes through.
Into the concrete wall.
Yeah, he's gonna need some good spikes. You can get them at Home Depot. And put, not in the concrete wall, on these timbers. Because then if he doesn't, he's gonna end up with a situation like at the beach at Treasure Island. They're just gonna continue to move all the time.
Right. That, or he's going to have to take those boards off and raise the concrete wall in that section.
Yeah.
Are those, Hayden, are those even pressure treated?
I can't tell because it looks like one of them is weathered.
Yeah.
So all the pea stone on the other side of the wall near that stump, that was all there before?
Yeah, my eyes went, whoa.
Because it's going right into the water.
It was always there, so.
Yeah, it was there. Let me see if I can share.
And it's weird, it's not even pea stone, it's like slightly bigger.
Yeah, that's decorative landscape stone.
Yeah.
And there's one picture I don't quite understand. Are you going to share the pictures?
Sure. I think I'm missing some of my more recent ones. Okay. I guess this is, and so this is on the side of the house. Look, this is the shed he was talking about.
Yeah, he used to have, it was like flagstone kind of here and there to walk around the side.
So this picture, is this what you're referring to, Michelle?
Yeah.
This picture was from January, and I just took pictures because I thought this looked a little funny. And this is actually the area of the pink, it would have been near his house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's biological breakdown.
okay.
The leaves, there's oak tree, those look like oak leaves, and they tend to have a reddish tint.
So, and it was gone. when I came out here in May or June. You know, I did look at that again.
Okay.
So these pictures are from January, but they are right next to this pipe. So, and that was his lawn before it was stabilized. It's stabilized now.
Oh, that's the picture I was confused by.
And so this is actually January as well, before he put the 2x4s on, or what are the 4x4s, whatever they are. And yeah, and this is also January.
Yeah, that's what it looked like when we went out.
Yeah. So the new part, well, this whole patio is new, but the stone was there. He didn't really make hardly any changes to that part.
So how
Yeah.
does he keep the stone in his yard when he's moving docks in and out? Isn't that dock right there we're looking at?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, if you look at the shoreline, I don't know if he rakes it out or if it just stays. But if you look at the shoreline, he doesn't have barely anything that creeps into the water there, which is quite surprising.
Yep.
Yeah, I did notice that too, that I mean,
Yeah.
when I first saw all the gravel, I was a little horrified, but it really doesn't seem to spread.
Yeah, I mean, when we approved this project, that's why I was kind of like, you know, it wasn't posing a problem.
Okay. So the only concern is really the wood on top of that wall.
Yeah.
Right, because that doesn't look like it's going to be permanent.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, do we know if that's permanent, Mary, or?
I don't think so.
It doesn't look it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was there to get the COC.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just put another capstone on? So easy.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and that's if he were to set another layer of capstones and glue them down.
Then you're done.
Exactly. That would be, to me, that would be sufficient. But the wood there, one, it takes away from the visual appeal of the wall that he just put in, and two, that just screams that that's going to come out, you know, as soon as we walk away.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, so do we want to reach out to him and find out what's going on with this, and that we have concerns that that's going to move, and we want it either needs to be anchored or he needs to complete the project in its entirety.
Okay.
Yeah, because it would have to be, the capstones underneath would have to be drilled through with an anchor bolt going all the way through the wood.
Okay.
Mary, out of curiosity, do you have a photograph looking the opposite way from here? There's got to be a reason that he didn't put a wall in there.
I feel like I have more pictures than what's here, and let me just
like a shot from there, but facing the house.
Yeah, I sent you guys my COC review last week, and then I forgot to put it on the Google Drive, I guess. So let me see if I can find that, and if I had other pictures in there, I might have.
I'm wondering if it makes it easy to put a boat down in there and then back out. But then again, that area over there, he was putting steps in, and I mean, he's got a beautiful property. I just don't know why, you know, he wouldn't finish that wall and just.
Actually, I think I know. That's probably his boat access.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was going with that.
Whereas if he puts a capstone on there, then it's harder for him to launch the boat.
But if I remember from that corner, I don't know if you were at that site visit, his shed is very close to there, and he was putting in stone steps.
Mary, can you go to the plan and just show me where this portion of the wall is in relation to that plan?
Yeah, let's pull the plan up. All right, so it's this section right here. And I'm not sure he built exactly according to plan. I'm thinking the wall goes pretty much all the way to the shed, and that, oh, that's just an arrow, I guess. Yeah, that's just an arrow.
He said that he was gonna put the wall to the corner of the shed. To the, wait, when you're looking at this, to the left side, he was gonna have his wall go to that corner there.
Yeah, I don't have any other pictures showing that direction.
Okay, I was just curious if he had put in, because there is step, it sort of steps down there, right next to a step that comes out of the house. It was a little awkward there.
Right.
From this plan, it looks like near the north boundary. Is that, am I reading this wrong, or is that like a beeline to the water? The water edge where it says silk fence, straw wattle?
This,
There's nothing there, right?
No, because where that little, see where it says edge, that's where the pipe is.
On the north boundary line.
oh,
That's where the
this,
grass is stabilizing currently,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's just the grass. And I mean, the gravel goes all the way across, and then he's got like the, whatever, the little granite pieces between the lawn and the gravel.
Yeah, so that's where you put your boat in,
Yeah,
right? It
Yeah.
goes straight down to the water from the front of the house. It's 10 feet wide.
Oh, yeah, and the other note is this gentleman, now that I'm reading my COC review, which I've opened up, he did get his Chapter 91 permit. That was part of this, and he got it.
oh,
Did
good.
you see that chapter 91?
Yeah, we made him do it, and he did it.
And you have it on file?
Yeah, let me actually, I have the file here. Let me see. The paper file. I have all the paper files.
Well, kudos to him for doing that.
Yeah, no, he really has been very
Yeah, I mean, he was really,
accommodating for the most part. Yes, we have the permit. Yep.
I just don't remember seeing it come through. So maybe it's one that went through without us.
Yeah, I guess we didn't look at his plans, which I'm looking at the plans right now. And he has it 25 feet off one property line, 45 feet off the other. Yeah. Michelle, I can scan this and send it to you if you want. Or maybe, I don't know if I can show, I can put it up to the screen maybe. Let me try that.
But at this point, we can't do anything anyway, right? It's already been approved.
Right. Yeah, it's, I guess this is hard with my backdrop. That's not working.
all right, so where do we want to go with this? Do we want to hold and see what his intentions are with that and then bring this, if we need to, at the next meeting?
Yeah, I
I-
mean,
I
I'd
think-
like to see if he could do something more permanent for that instead of the wood.
Okay. All right, so can we get a motion on this to move things along?
What do we need for a motion, Joey?
Motion for a continuance
Okay.
to, is Monday, August 3rd? Good, what's your name? Mary?
You know, Joey, I don't think
Mixing them
we,
all up.
because it's a discussion item, I don't think we have to officially continue it. Maybe a motion to contact the applicant and whatever.
All right, so can we just get a motion on that? Just to,
I'll make the motion to contact the applicant.
can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, just to keep things formal.
Yeah. Dan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes. Next item, 30 South Point Road, COC. DEP number 323, 1096.
All right, now I'm worried that that one I didn't show up too. Let's see if we can find it.
This one had a lot of invasives. They did work on the embankment. They did a riprap. They've got some plants in there. I think that they need to just, as a general rule of thumb, continue to pop some plants in there, like ground juniper or what have you. And I think it would be good.
Yeah, well, I have the pictures in here, so we can look at those. All right, if you will remember, this was, and I think I put all the old pictures into, so this is the now. This is they ended up asking to put riprap in. We went through several kind of conversations back and forth. At first, they were suggesting like a geocell kind of plastic material to kind of hold the bank. And Joey, and this is conversations took place with Joey and I, and Joey thought, we don't want so much plastic. He suggested jute cloth. They really didn't want to do the jute cloth, and so they came back with riprap, which I suppose is better than the plastic. And this is the back lake side of the house. It's very well done. He didn't actually remember that there's we let him put his deck a little bit over the wall, and this is the original retaining wall. Didn't fix that. They are hoping to put more plantings on the slope. They have about 3 or 4 of these little pockets. You can tell that there's a gardener lives here, that they're working hard, but again, this slope will take a lot of time and patience because it's dry to plant. Hopefully it'll end up like Joanne Mills in 20 years.
They didn't exactly overplant though.
No, yeah, it's 1, 2, 3 little plantings. And they had them set the rocks so that she could walk on it. It's very steep and kind of difficult to walk on.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. You can actually, Mary, if you look at the bottom there, you can actually see, I mean, not a lot of rock goes into the lake, which is what we had discussed with them. But you can actually see where large waves, see that almost a gray and a white line there?
Here?
From the wave energy there? Yeah, see that?
That's actually, I believe it's 2 types of riprap. This was put in earlier and this was put in recently. So let's look at the rest of the pictures. Let's get
because it actually looks like, it's.
All right, so here's what it was, a long time ago. And this is after they started construction because the first thing they did is put this riprap in. And then this was the slope that was covered with nasty invasives. Here's looking down the invasive slope. That's the top. It's very steep. The house under construction. Oh, and here's they did submit an as-built, just showing the Cultex in the house.
It's a very slim as-built.
Yep. I guess we, this may be what the building commissioner requires. We may need to, if we want to show all the retaining walls and stuff, we may need to specify that. All right, yeah, and this is more kind of under construction pictures. I was here a lot. The model of their house. The slope when it was exposed.
Their pets.
There you go. So, and they tried for a while to kind of put plantings in, and it just wasn't working, I guess. And it was so messy. And so you can see that it's kind of like, this is the original riprap, and there's kind of like a shelf here, a flat shelf that you used to be able to walk along, but maybe with the new riprap you can't. Oh, that picture should be dumped. And they were, and this actually, they wanted to remove these 2 trees. This one's dead. That one's half dead. I told them are we agreed to do that? They have not actually removed them yet, but I figure since they've asked us, then it's okay to go ahead and issue the COC, because if you guys are okay with it, because I mean, we're not requiring them to remove the trees, and they have discussed the trees with us, so they weren't a part of the original order necessarily, but you guys can think about that.
Well, I would point out that the tree removal, any authority that they had to remove the trees is going to expire the moment we issue a COC, because they no longer have the open NOI anymore. So if they want to remove them, they should do it now.
Yeah, she said they were going to remove them in the fall. So, I mean, we can just ask them to keep it open until the trees are removed.
Yeah, I think otherwise they're going to have to submit a new RDA to remove the trees that they already had permission to remove.
That's a good point, Fred. And also, if they could just probably pop in a few more, like ground junipers, Mary. I don't think that's an embankment for any kind of, they would need to be upland species because it's dry,
Yeah.
you know. That South Shore Road is one of the, roads that really has a drop off on both sides. The geography on that road is really, really different. All right, so do we want to make a motion to hold the certificate until the trees are removed? And recommendation for additional plantings?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Michelle?
I'll second.
Hayden seconds. Mary, go ahead.
All right, Dan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes.
Whew.
All right, so before we get into the other stuff, do we have Laura here? Let's take care of Laura.
She's muted.
Unmute.
Hi, Laura.
Hello. Hi there.
Hello.
Okay, so
Okay, I'm here.
you're Laura, and what's your last name?
Quail.
Oh, Laura Quayle. Okay.
Yes.
And you said you're at Black Point.
Yes, 18 Black Point.
Okay.
Mary, did you want to lead with this or should I? What?
Yeah, you know, I'm pulling up the overhead, see if we can see pictures here. And let me just pull that up so that the board knows what we're talking about here. You guys may remember Mrs. Lloyd. All right, so now Laura, you live at 22, is that right?
No, we live at 18.
Okay,
Yes,
you're
these
18.
two lots. We're 18 and the lot next to it. We're 4 and 5.
Okay,
right?
and then
Yes.
Mrs. Lloyd is at 22, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's kind of the picture of the land and the lot lines. And Mrs. Lloyd has a dock down here, and we'll pull up see if we can see the docks on the aerials. Kind of. All right, so now,
Okay, hard to see.
Laura, is this your dock here?
No.
Where's your dock?
Okay, these two
Oh, is
dogs.
this your dock right here?
That's us, yes,
Okay.
right. That's our dock. That dock has been there for 40 years. We just
Okay.
upgraded it, but it has always been there. we've lived here for 25 and the dock was here long before us. So what, obviously, as you can see, there are two issues. One, we put our boat on the other side of the peninsula, yes, because right now we just got our new boat. When we got it, we have a path that we can get through, but when we got our new boat, it was already, what am I trying to say, John? John's here too, my husband. It was already overgrown, so we couldn't get our boat to our dock. This peninsula here, I don't know, Mary, if you can show, yes, that's what we tied it to. There's wood that only goes like halfway. That they were told to remove that by the state. All that docks and stuff is gone. They removed those, but they left the falling down boardwalk and they left their falling down dock, basically, even though the state told them to remove all of it. So when we couldn't get our boat into our yard, it got clogged up and we just put it over and attached it to their piece of wood. And that's where it's been floating. I don't know if you guys know, but that was the illegal boat marina.
Yep.
Her brother had it forever as the illegal boat marina. And we just found out that they don't own that whole field or this waterfront. So the state had made them take all that out, which is now in their yard. And anyways, for our point, we just tied on to the piece of wood way up top so we wouldn't interfere with them getting in and out, which is where our boat is. And they didn't like the fact that we told them they didn't own the field, and they've been calling the police on us. In the last 2 weeks, they've called the police twice. Then they've talked to you guys. So there's two things. One is we were wondering if we could take our boat off of their wood thing and just move it down a little, because then there isn't her wood anymore. This picture is old, and kind of stake it there. I don't know, that sounds kind of sketchy, but if we get it off of her wood, then we are not going to be trespassing, as we would be on state land.
Yeah, but the issue with that then becomes that you're now putting your property that's licensed to your home on
Yep.
on state land, which is the lake,
Right.
or the Great Pond rather, and
Yep.
under Chapter 91, you can't do that.
Okay.
We want to put a
Wait.
dock in and get it, get the chapter.
Are you
Okay.
talking- I just want to make sure that I understand. You're asking if you could put some kind of anchor down and anchor your boat free floating?
No, put it up against the shore. Put it up.
On state land, you're asking?
Maybe this,
Right. See, when you see where the first dock is, we can just put our boat up
Like
onto
here?
the land.
Yes,
Yes,
right in there.
yes.
We want to put a dock in there and then have it
Well,
titled.
shush. I don't want to put a dock there. I want to be able to get at our dock. So that's the second issue we want to talk about. So for the time being, we can't get at our dock, which is at our house, right there, right?
Yeah.
So we were wondering if we could just put our boat where you guys were just showing that.
But that is state land, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, should they be allowed to have their boat there? Because
No.
their boat is there too. Their boat is at the first dock you see, which is not permitted, it's not anything. So you can't see it there, right there. That's where they keep their boat. Yes.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be able to put their boat there either. That's state
Oh.
land.
Yeah.
Michelle, what I've been talking with a bunch of the homeowners along here.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, these docks have been, apparently this one's been there for 40 years. So I don't know, we're gonna have to work. So I told them they all need to get Chapter 91 permits and some kind of easement or
Yeah,
something.
Yes, they really need to get permission from the landowner.
Right.
which
Right.
is the state.
Which would be the state. And if you file your Chapter 91 permit, you would need to show that that dock is over, it's where your property is and where your dock is going to be.
Okay, now would we be,
Provide that, we can't allow that until a Chapter 91 permit has been done.
okay,
So, I mean, this cove used to be a cedar forest, and then it became a cedar
right,
swamp. So,
right. They
fortunately-
filled it in, it's all DEP.
unfortunately, that small inlet there that's right next to that point
Yes,
is really kind of the only navigable area. And under Chapter 91, you can't block a navigable water. So,
okay.
you know, so if,
Yep, go ahead.
but also, and if you go to Chapter 91 on the Mass DEP website,
We've looked at it, it's so huge, we're
there's
confused.
there's an FAQs in there that those are all sorts of questions and facts and answers. So you can read through there and it gives you a bit of an understanding of what the process is. Unfortunately, it's the state, they don't make it easy. But once you've got the permit lasts for 15 years.
Okay, now can I ask you guys, would you think we're better off trying to put a dock next to their dock? Or should we be trying to get a permit for our own personal dock on our own personal land?
The latter. I think,
latter.
yeah, because I think if you start to play on the state's playground, you could be setting yourself up for trouble.
Okay, and you do see where our dock is, and that's in that little edge of the peninsula thing,
Yes, right there.
right?
Now, do you have the state, even with trying to get the Chapter 91?
Yeah,
The dock has been there for a long time, and I'm going to say the same thing to, Jackie Lloyd and any of the other neighbors. If your dock, I think, predates 1984, you have to provide proof. And then there's some sort of a clause that your dock it'll be granted for you, as far as you're able to, I don't think you'll need to register it.
oh, okay,
You need to provide the proof that it's been there. And there's a specific date, I think it's 1984.
I think I did see that.
It's from, so there was a certain legislation that was passed, and any dock that is of a certain size that predates 84, you need to file, but you'll be essentially grandfathered, and you won't need to, they'll just say you're all set, you're blessed.
I don't know how we'd find proof, though.
But you need to provide photographs of some sort. That's usually what they ask for.
Okay,
Some sort of documentation.
okay.
I think most people end up doing the permit because it's so hard to prove that.
Yeah,
the dock.
it really
Yeah,
is.
I was gonna say, we've been here since 97, but, 84 is, I think the guy who owned the house that we bought it from is long ceased. So, all right, well, we are going to, what?
Unfortunately, this is an area of concern, because really the only thing it's more of a wetland than it is an open water.
Right,
But I think, Mary has spoken about it, and I think the commission, we need to figure out if this is something we need to talk to the state about and find out if this is possible for folks that are in this constrained area to be able to put docks over there. But
Okay,
the problem also is that there are beaver lodges there, and
yes,
breaking down a beaver lodge is, number one, it's illegal. Number two, the health department needs to get involved. It's a process because
Swim around that.
there's a lot of bacteria and diseases that are in beaver lodges, and it can really upset the ecosystem there.
oh, okay, interesting. So if we were could we have somebody come in? I heard if you go through the Lake Association, they have somebody that does weed control. Would we be able to have somebody come in?
Nothing can go in this cove as far as weed control. Nothing can be dredged without Army Corps or our, all of that needs to go through us.
Okay, all right,
So
so,
any
um,
kind of, you start messing with cutting down things and digging out certain, dredging
yep,
in that area, you can
yep,
face a lot of fines.
okay. Well, that's why we're talking to you. We want to
Yeah,
do
I
whatever
mean,
it takes to see if we can get in. We have a path. There is a path to our dock.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we've gotten our boats in. It's been a couple years. Both my husband and I have had surgeries, so we haven't been on our boat in a couple years. So it's because actually there's a path that grew in even more because the sun got at it and there, So is there something we have to do with you guys to be able to try to get this to the point where we can get our boat in and out, just that path?
Well, I think the basic issue there is you can you can tie your boat up any place that you want to, even a dock that belongs to somebody else, if you have the owner's permission to do so.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we're feuding with our next door neighbors right now. That's why I called you guys about us being tied up. We can put it on the state land and not have to tie up to her wood, because that's just what they're doing. They're just putting it up to the land. And
But as a sitting body that upholds the Wetlands Protection Act
yep.
within our municipality, we cannot legally tell you can do that.
Okay.
So
I guess while we work on trying to work with you guys to get our dock permitted and
yeah, we can help you try to get your dock permitted and see what the state says, but
and I mean, I guess what we're saying is for the next month, our boat's kind of been out of commission all summer. We just bought a brand new $66,000 boat, and we've been on it once because my husband had knee surgery. It got clogged when we were trying to put it in. I guess if nobody says anything, can we just put it there for a month until the end of the season and the state won't know? I guess it's kind of don't know, don't tell. And then hopefully we can start working on getting our dock manageable for next spring. And I mean, is that, because all Cam and Jackie do is pull it up to the shoreline.
well, the
Yeah,
question,
right now all this is open. This isn't where their dock isn't weeds now. It's all open. So right now this is an old view, but that's all open in there. So we can just go boom, and we walk through our yard. We don't go through their yard. The only thing they have a problem with is we're tying up to their piece of wood.
okay.
They go to all the dock walkway because it's dangerous. the boards are all rotted out, and if you don't walk from the right spot, you're gonna go through them.
So,
That's why Jackie she put up no trespassing signs over there.
um,
Well,
so,
that's the other angle of this that's concerning is if someone gets hurt on someone else's property, that's why you can't.
Well, yeah,
right, but we don't have to go on that at all, is what I'm saying. We
Well,
can
what I'm
point-
saying too is if we were to tell you that, well, you can
Right,
dock there. I mean, you can use that dock and tie your boat up to it, and then you're already suffering from a knee injury, and something
oh,
happens, and the state says, "What were you doing saying that they could tie their boat up on state property?"
right,
oh, yes, I understand.
It can really backfire at us.
okay, I guess, yes, yeah. I mean, I'm totally getting what you're saying. We're just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
look
I mean-
for an easy way to just finish off the summer.
And I mean, trust me, I would really, this is unfortunately, this is one of our particular, it's a challenging navigable area.
Right,
And
right,
really only in the last several months has really come to light as to, what can we do here? I mean,
how about, what if we say we're not gonna do it and it's all forgotten and we'll work on the other stuff? And you won't know anything about it. Plausible deniability?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can't stop you from doing that. All
Okay,
I know is I just,
you can't tell me I can either.
yes, I can't tell you can, but I
Right.
can't stop you either. But also,
Okay, but I won't be attached to their dock, so we won't be trespassing on their property.
but then comes the fact that we're supposed to tell you that you can't have your boat on a dock that's not yours, that's on state property.
Right, but it isn't gonna be on a dock. It's just gonna be on the land. We're just gonna like stake it to the land. Beach it, beach it. We're just gonna beach it. It's not gonna be at a dock. That isn't ours,
Yeah.
if you see what I'm saying. So we're not gonna be trespassing on their dock.
I guess if you were to, sort of moor it in a way that is, I mean, that's kind of like it's sort of like at the ocean, some folks moor their boats out
Yep, yep,
a little bit,
Yep.
but, until we can kind of get this, but that is with the caveat that you do, as soon as possible, file for your Chapter 91 permit.
yes,
And I
yes.
would
Well, we
rec-
want our dock to be legal, so.
And I would recommend that you put in there, and we're recommending the same thing for the others, that, you describe the constrained situation of where you need to put, where your dock is and
Right,
where the boat would need to go. And, perhaps, we can talk on our end with the state too and see if we could provide some sort of solution here.
that would be great. That would be perfect.
That's the best thing I think that's the best thing that I can say at this point, but with
Perfect.
two neighbors fighting, that becomes a civil matter. That's not us. But what is us is the fact that, there's a dock that's not registered and it's somewhere else. It's not on someone else's property. And
Right,
tell you from an event that happened 2 summers ago. It was a very explosive situation, and the state was getting involved in making phone calls, and somebody did end up having to move their dock.
Yeah, well, like I said, where our dock is not anywhere near where they are. We just, like you said, want to moor it for the rest of the summer, and hopefully we can work together to try to get our boat, our dock registered, and perhaps some sort of, passage to it. We'll do whatever we need to do. So, but we will definitely take our boat off of their dock.
Okay,
We will move that tomorrow. It's not running. We're waiting for the hazard to come and get it. So once we get it moving, and we'll move it off of their dock and put it,
I mean, I know
on
it's,
their dock.
I mean, I know it is a hassle, but something, that was recommended, I know by Mary, was, if you've got a friend that may have a little bit of space in one of their docks, if, the best scenario would be to park it with their permission at their property temporarily.
Yep.
This matter is all sorted out.
Okay. All right. Well, we will, like I said, we will get it at least off of their stuff, and we'll work. Should I come in? I don't understand anything about getting the dock permit. So should I talk to Mary? I've been reading up. I got the 89-page booklet online.
Yeah, you want to, I don't know how big your dock is. You need to know the square footage of your dock. Is it anchored to the ground? They're going to ask all sorts of questions.
All right.
Mary, what do you suggest for her from this point? I appreciate, Laura, your husband and you, going through the filing process. So.
Well, absolutely. We want it done right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. So yeah, where should we go from here? I pulled up the forms. I'll start looking at them. Is there any help we can get on them if I need help?
Yeah, I mean, you could, we can help you a little bit, but if you need a lot of help, there are some engineers around that can help you with them. You may have to hire someone. But
Okay.
certainly we can give you a little bit of guidance.
Okay. Do we need an engineer for when you fill out the forms? Is there?
Nope. But it is like it depends on your situation. If you don't want to deal with, it's going to take some time on your part. Yeah.
We have time, so no problem.
Yep.
Okay, but it's not like a flood plan or anything where you need levels and stuff like that. Okay, great.
The other option is they give you a telephone number to call on that website.
Okay.
And you can talk to someone that deals directly with that. If you have all the questions that you are curious about, you can just home in on those questions when you get to that point.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for your time, all of you. I appreciate it. Thank
Any
you.
questions, you let us know, okay?
Absolutely. And
Thank you.
if you have any feedback for me, you guys, I left my phone number and you have my email.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night, people.
You too. Stay cool.
Thank you.
All right, folks. So the next item we're going to jump at is authorizing Mary to sign for the Conservation Commission for recording purposes according to MGL Section 110G.
Right, just a quick explanation. Right, right now it's hard for us to get your signatures. But we can, if we do this, then I will be signing. This vote gets recorded at the registry, and then this vote is referenced on every single order of conditions, certificate of compliance, any paperwork that needs your signature. It turns out that the RDAs don't actually need a real signature, so we've been just using an electronic signature, and that the vote from the meeting kind of counts as your approval. So that's just how we've been doing it. But this will really help, I think. And then I think the vote, if you want, I can read the language, but it's just during this time of COVID, basically, which could go on for another several months.
So it basically just says instead of chasing 4 of us to sign, you sign for us.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Can you get a motion on it?
I'll make the motion.
All right. Second?
Second that motion.
All right. Mary, you want to poll?
Yes. Dan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes. All right. So, there's a reminder here, conflict of interest training and open meeting law. If you are still on, if you know that you haven't done it, please do take care of it. Visit the state website for conflict of interest training. And then there's also, you have to visit the state website for open meeting law. It's ethics training.
For the open meeting law, what it is actually we have materials to give to just Hayden, I believe, and Clarissa, but she's not on the meeting. So Hayden, if there's some time you can stop by the town hall, we can give you the stuff, you can sign the piece of paper, and then you'll be done with that piece of it. But
Okay.
you may still have to do the conflict of interest training, which is online. And then you print out the certificate and you can mail it to us or scan it and email it or whatever.
Okay, very good. I can stop by tomorrow. I'm working from home.
Great.
I'll try and stop down tomorrow and get my dump pass anyways, so.
Yes, and I'm working from home tomorrow, but Kelly should be there all day, and she actually she's kind of in charge of this anyway.
So I'm gonna go down and sign for the open meeting law.
Yeah, so just ask to see Kelly. Well, supposedly you're supposed to have an appointment. I'll email Kelly and tell her that you're coming. Okay. And then she'll let you in. So.
All right, I appreciate that, Mary.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm saving this for last, for the most part. And I want you guys to bear with me for a few minutes while I read a few things here, so that they are part of the record. We need to talk about 33 Loveland Road. Okay? So we're talking about, before we get into a discussion of 33 Loveland Road, I would like to just read an excerpt here for all of you, which you're on the commission and you should know this, but I want it in the record. The Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40. No person shall remove, fill, dredge, or alter, and alter is in bold, any bank, riverfront area, freshwater wetland, coastal wetland, beach, dune, flat marsh, meadow, or swamp bordering on the ocean or on any estuary, creek, river, stream, pond, or lake, in any under said waters, or any land subject to tidal action, coastal storm flowage, or flooding. Unless you have got an exemption, which the exemptions are for gas, electric, water, telephone, telegraph, and other telecommunication services, without filing written notice of this intention to so remove, fill, dredge, or alter, including such plans as may be necessary to describe such proposed activity in its effect on the environment, and without receiving and complying with an order of conditions providing all appeal periods have lapsed. That is the Wetlands Protection Act, which in a nutshell is don't alter any wetland unless there's an exemption without a valid permit. So the next thing I want to read is that under alter, subject activities under alterations to land or cutting of trees and shrubs, grading of any sort, building, construction additions, paving, sheds, etc., cleaning of culverts, and blocked stream channels. Those are work activities that must be permitted. Okay? So, with that said, it's on the record as to what chap 131 section 40 is. That basically explains our role as Conservation Commission and what the limitations are and what we're looking at here. So we got a notice that there was some earth moving, some filling, and other things, cutting of shrubs and trees going on at 33 Loveland Road. Mary, before I get into the letter that was sent to us, I would like to, for you, because you went there, please explain to the board what you saw and show us some photographs, please.
All right, can you guys see my screen right now?
Yes.
All right, so this is at 33 Loveland. It looks like they put some loam all along in here. Maybe.
So they filled the bank.
Well, I think the bank was flat, but they've added loam on top.
Is this on the house side or the opposite side?
This, yeah, and I have more pictures. This is on the shed side of the road.
Okay.
So here is.
This is the shed that is not permitted.
Right, this is an old one.
Last year.
That's last year. So this is the same area last year. This is last year. I have more new pictures. This is last year.
So they definitely cleared some brush or bush or grass or something and put in loam.
Who cut that tree, Mary?
All right, here's more pictures.
Right, so there's more.
This looks like it could have been recent.
That's recent.
Yep, this is all recent. And someone sent me a video of the guys with the chainsaw.
I can see
And
branches.
there's some brush right there. And this is looking down towards the shed, so.
I also want to make it known on this as well that they are encroaching on the roadway.
Yep.
Not our jurisdiction, but I would recommend, Mary, if you could please reach out to Brian Hickey and ask him to check to make sure safety for that roadway.
You know, Brian has already, I believe, gotten a restraining order against him because he attempted to work with them or something.
We need to make sure that emergency vehicles are able
Right,
to.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, no, this is definitely.
And on this record, I would just like to point that out. Now, this definitely, that there is much, much farther than probably photographs that I've got.
And there's no vegetation. All around that shed was vegetation.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the back especially, it's looking pretty naked.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, those are, I think I put almost all the pictures I have from 33 Loveland, but you might have more stuff on your phones and stuff.
I will find older photographs so that we can look at them and prepare them.
Yeah.
With that said, okay, so these new photographs, obviously.
Yeah, more. Yeah. So like, I think they're not in the wetland, but they're right up next to it, basically. right up to it. Like there's the top of the bank.
Well, if there are hydric soils there, then, and there could be, because that's very, very close. You know,
So did a stop work.
That's all we've done is the stop work. I didn't ever follow up with a letter.
so there's a stop work. Mary's going to follow up with a letter. So after what I just read,
Is there an enforcement order?
I want you guys to think about the word alter. I want you to think about cutting. And later on, this is this instance, but later on we need to revisit our we were very amicable at trying to work with them to permit their shed in boxes that are within the 100-foot buffer zone. And that talked about putting things in the buffer zone. So thinking about the alterations that we see here, I'm going to now, after you've seen what Mary has seen, I want to, I wasn't initially going to, I was just going to express that a letter was sent to us from Kathleen Godzik and her sister Gail Arsenault, who are the owners of 33 Loveland. They had sent their, this came through as an email letter to the Board of Selectmen, our Conservation Department. It went to Doug and it went to Randy. So they've asked for this to be entered into the minutes. So this, and I don't know if Mary sent it out to everybody, but Mary, you can send this out to everyone so that they're all on board with this and see what you know, what the situation is from their point of view. So this is our response to your notice to stop work dated 7/7/20, with your notice that this will be discussed at the next scheduled commission meeting on 7/20/20 with your attendance on the agenda. Please read this into the minutes on your Conservation Commission meeting on 7/20/20. This obviously had been continued due to lack of quorum from the last meeting. So we are writing as follows. Number one, we are prevented from attending any public meetings because we are designated at-risk individuals by CDC guidelines and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and Connecticut with regard to COVID-19. Number two, therefore, any meeting issues must be conducted with us in writing via email. Number three, in your 7/7/20 notice, you state as findings, adding loam without a permit. In your 7/7/20 notice, you state stop work at once pertaining to construction, alterations, or repairs on the premises known as 33 Loveland Road. Please note, we did not use loam as you allege. We were not performing construction, alterations, or repairs on 33 Loveland Road as you allege. We researched your website and your guidelines and could not find anywhere in your documents or your published literature for the public where what you state adding loam requires a permit. Number four, our work consisted of removing accumulated and dead branches and debris from our property, along with removing the growing strangler vines that started to climb the trees and natural vegetation in this area, so that these trees and this natural vegetation could continue to grow unharmed, especially the newly growing sassafras trees, maintaining our grass cover and reseeding with placement of topsoil where needed to do this. Okay, number five, we also planted several natural blueberry bushes to reestablish the blueberry grove that there was since 1952, and we replaced 2 natural birch trees that had died. The source documents we are consulting and using for our work are 1, Donald Leopold's Native Plants of the Northeast, Lady Bird Johnson's Wildflower Center, Natural Resource Conservation Service with soil maps, USDA plants database for native plant distribution plant maps, the Wild Seed Project, how to raise native wildflowers from seedlings, Center for Northern Woodlands Education, their mission statement. The mission of the Center of Northern Woodlands is to advance a culture of forest stewardship in the Northeast and to increase understanding of and appreciation for natural wonders, economic productivity, and ecological integrity of the region's forests. Number 7, we did not perform any type of construction. We did not alter any portion of our land, nor did we perform any type of repairs. We simply did maintenance on our land. Therefore, kindly explain to us in writing and provide your rationale and your support documentation for your action to serve us with a stop work notice. It is quite apparent that Mr. Robert Kirsch from 39 Loveland Road called in to complain to you since Mr. Kirsch stopped the vehicle he was driving directly behind our private driveway, completely blocking our private driveway. Sat in his vehicle demanding to see a permit, and he continued to sit in his car blocking our private driveway for 30 minutes despite us asking him to kindly move along until he was removed by the Webster Police Department. This occurred in the afternoon of Monday, 7/6/20. After this occurrence, we never received any call or any form of communication from you asking us what we were doing or any attempt by you to find out what we were doing. But got a notice to stop work from you, which you, in a mask-covered and colored vest, delivered to us by driving onto our property on 7/7/20 at around 4 p.m. and left on our door. Thank you, Gail Arsenault, Kathleen Godzik. So, first, they researched websites for guidelines on, and could not find anywhere in documents for your published literature for the public where the state adding loam requires a permit. I'm going to point out on number 3 that this is in the Wetlands Protection Act. I just read it, and we discussed it with them last year several times, and I could probably find the dates. Number 2, we were not performing construction, alterations, or repairs on 33 Loveland Road, as you allege. I would, and will discuss it as the board, consider these as alterations, as I had read from the Wetlands Protection Act. Our work consisted of removing accumulated dead branches and debris from our property, along with removing the growing strangler vines that started to climb and natural vegetation in this area so that these trees and natural vegetation could continue to grow unharmed, especially the newly growing sassafras, maintaining our ground cover, reseeding with replacement of topsoil where needed to do this. Number 1, they are saying in number 4 that they have cut items, which they stated above that they did not cut anything. This also, they're saying that they replaced topsoil, which would be considered filling. And all of this I would consider under alterations. You cannot just go into a wetland area under our jurisdiction and begin clearing and filling. Number 5, we also planted several natural blueberry bushes to reestablish the blueberry grove that was there since 1952 and replaced 2 natural birches that had died. I don't know if any had died, but still, removal of trees within a wetland resource area needs some sort of permit. And I didn't necessarily see blueberry bushes there. I will say I appreciate the addition of natives, but that is another story. With this letter, I'm also going to mention on this record that the civil matter between Mr. Kirsch and 33 Loveland Road, sisters Gail and Kathleen, has nothing to do with what our body does. It never has. And we had received, I believe, a few calls from various other people on what was going on with this property. And I will also tell you on this record that I spoke to someone at the state and DEP, and people called the state as well to complain. So it went right up the chain, and it wasn't us, it was folks, neighbors that had contacted DEP. So we reacted with a notice to stop work because of alterations, filling, and cutting. So with that said, I would like to know the board's comments on this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think we should make it quite clear that the work took place across from 33 Loveland, just so that it's very clear that 33 Loveland is on one side of the street and there's a parcel of land directly across. Something took place.
Yes, I believe that should be done and entered into however we proceed with this.
Right.
When I did talk with the state, to be honest with you, the section chief, when I spoke to her, said it didn't really matter as far as who owned the property. What matters is an alteration has occurred without a.
I understand. I just don't want to get into splitting hairs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you can understand, for those of you that are on the board, why I'm being very thorough with this one. Aiden, I know you are new with Loveland Road.
Yeah.
So I want to just make sure that I cover with everyone, and for public record, what the act has to say as far as what is considered an alteration, what's considered construction, and what is considered repairs. So we need to look at this through the act piece, and was an alteration done?
Absolutely.
I'm going to agree with Michelle that an alteration was done.
Mary, can I just ask you who the property is deeded to? Do you have that?
All right, the property is difficult and part of the problem. So this is the property in question. The shed is not on this picture, but it is actually right here. What has been discovered is that this land here, number 31, does not actually own the land that the shed is on. The shed is on state land, but these ladies are claiming that they own this whole strip right there.
Right. What I'm looking up is I'm looking up on the registry of deeds.
Okay, yeah.
It's gonna be, I mean, every person in the neighborhood and every person under the sun has looked up deeds. And if you do the square footage of their lot versus what they pay for taxes, I mean, somebody even broke it down to that. It doesn't make sense based on what they're claiming as their property across the street. But in that sense, we know who the offender is, regardless of whether it is their property or not. So where do we go from here? Do we issue them an enforcement
Yes.
and have them file for what they're doing?
So, Mr. Chairman, I think they could be somewhat separate items, but we definitely should issue an enforcement order because we have found work that was unpermitted. And we should outline all of Mary's observations and iterate each of the points where an alteration has taken place or filling has taken place.
Yeah, the one thing that you want to include in there is on the loam or topsoil or dirt or whatever, is they actually changed the grade of the property. And that is the alteration.
So what we would need too is we would need to determine the alteration, the square footage of the alteration, and what should be requested in the enforcement action for remediation. And that was that came directly from the section chief's my phone call with her on this matter. So we would, but here's the thing. They're considering this private property, so we cannot go down there and really take a look without their permission.
You can from the street.
And actually we can, because there is a suspected violation, and that's in the bylaw.
All right, we need to check that out, Mary, because we don't want to end up in trespass.
Yeah, no, it is actually in our small little bylaw that we have does allow us to trespass. Yep.
Okay.
It's in there.
Joey, let's not forget that in the past, the town researched it and sent them a letter telling them that as far as the town was concerned, that they did not own that property.
Yes, that is true.
We have to separate that issue for right now.
Yeah, we have to separate that issue for right now, and that was what was directed to me from.
Right, and I would say that you're correct. We can kind of overlook that at the moment, but yes, there should be an enforcement order. This is just going to go on and on and on.
Oh, I know, but the enforcement order, there needs to be enforcement order on this, but also, I think we should clear up this here. But I am in favor of an official enforcement order done on ignoring us in the fall for an unpermitted built shed and flower boxes that are within our jurisdiction and don't belong there. Now, mind you, the town has tried to remove the flower boxes and it got to be a very ugly situation. there's a lot of personality that goes on in this area. But we need to make sure that in the eyes of the Wetlands Protection Act and our capacity as local regulators, enforcement of law and being proper, they need to be held accountable just like anybody else. They are no different. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander in our community. And we have been very good with upholding the act and, making sure our jurisdiction is where it belongs, and also making sure that violations are dealt with accordingly. It hasn't always been a very warm and fuzzy thing, but enforcement is not pretty. It never is. With that said, if we are going to issue an enforcement order, I think we need to be thorough in it with the exact reasons why. And Mary, if you have to cut and paste the entire, send them a link to the Wetlands Protection Act and let them know that this is our guiding document.
Sure.
And exactly what I read, that whole preamble as to, you don't do this without a permit, and they are not exempt.
Yep. What I'll do is I will write the letter and the enforcement order and send it around for comment to make sure it's what you guys want.
Yes, Denise from DEP said that she would be probably expecting that.
Okay.
So I just told her that it needed to be brought forth with the commission. So there's the official enforcement order. And with an official enforcement order, there needs to be corrective action. So we would probably want to determine that sooner than later.
Yep.
So I think number one is getting a clear, you're in the office tomorrow, Mary?
I am working from home.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. I'm working, but I won't be in the office.
Yeah. I mean, you were there, you saw the photograph. I mean, you've got photographs enough to write, but I mean, really to kind of let it sink in and see what's been altered.
Yeah, and I didn't put this up, but I have on my desk at work, someone had emailed a picture, maybe I forwarded it to you guys, of the pile of loam. Someone caught a picture, and then someone sent a few pictures of the people with a few videos of the chainsaw work.
Yeah, let's put this all in a folder together.
Yeah.
And I believe a neighbor somewhere in the neighborhood sent 2 photographs, and their concerns in an email. I'm sure the email may have been forwarded out to everyone. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have to find that.
Their concern is, how long are we going to allow this type of behavior to go on? I really sympathize with those folks. It really does raise a question as to, why are we shying away from this? They're in blatant violation of not just the town law, of the state law. So I think that, obviously working with the resident is always the best solution. But past attempts to work with the two parties has been really null and void. Oh, additional comments, recommendations, thoughts?
So I think it's a very sound plan that we write a very detailed enforcement order.
Okay, so do
And
we,
I know we can also consider fines, which we shouldn't take off the table at this point.
well, if we're doing the enforcement action under the enforcement manual, you can't fine and enforce at the same time. So,
Right, they're two separate actions.
yes,
Yes.
you enforce, and if the corrective action is not done, then we should consider fines.
Fines might have to wait 90 days.
That's fine too.
There's some sort of time frame you're right on that, Mary.
Yeah.
And that's a mechanism to allow someone, if there is a, you know, obviously not all violations are one size fits all. So,
And well, that's more in terms of what was passed at the recent town meeting and it being approved by the Attorney General.
oh yes, that's right. That
That's
is,
what's going on there. Yeah.
they're non-criminal fines.
Yeah.
But at any rate, we need to document this. It needs to go to the state, and should obviously you know what the findings are, Mary. I think you probably might need to add to it as far as what I had mentioned and the others have mentioned here. As far as a corrective action for them, do we want to discuss that now, or do we want to send that to Mary?
You know, one reason, I mean, I actually I sent them an invitation for this meeting because they had complained that they couldn't come because they were immune compromised to our last meeting, which was in person. And they basically blew it off saying, well, we sent you the letter and we want that to be read. So that's, they could have come before us tonight because it was a Zoom meeting.
Okay. So an attempt at mediation with coming tonight was essentially blown off. So I would make sure that that's documented.
So I don't know if it's innocent on my part, but when I look at the corrective action, I want the area returned to its natural state. Grading, tree replacement, ground cover replacement.
I want to know how far into the embankment, how far they potentially have expanded that small little lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, separate issue, obviously, but, you know, I think that the older items, such as the shed and the planter boxes, need to go on the back burner. Right now, with this violation, I'm seeing loam that's been put in there. There's been grading done, which states right in the act that you can't grade. How much potential alteration to the bank there is there, what vegetation left, and where, I didn't see in any of those photographs new birch trees.
Yeah, I didn't they had a bunch of plantings in. I may not have taken pictures of everything.
And I mean, I thought I read somewhere else, Mary, that in another communication I thought from them that they were going to plant lady slippers. Lady slippers are an endangered species, and I don't know where you would be able to find lady slippers. So
Oh, you can't.
yeah, I mean that's just a little bit, in my opinion, and it is my opinion, and I have the right to my opinion. I think it's a little ludicrous. Anyway, I'm seeing wood chips put in there.
Right. The wood chips were, those have been pulled out, I believe. The wood chips were from earlier.
Now I think there's dark ones there now, Mary. They put.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
The mulch.
Mulch. Yeah, there's black mulch that's in there now.
Yeah, this mulch. I mean, I don't think we usually get people a permit for mulch, although this is a new bed, clearly, but.
Yeah, I mean, this just.
They really certainly cleared the area out.
Yeah, this is definitely, and it looks almost as level as the roadway now.
Well, and I think it was
always
level. I think that's why if we have more old pictures, that would
was
be helpful.
close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to also see an old picture of how far behind the shed has been added. Because I just remember it being pretty tall, greenery, and right there at the edge of the shed.
It was right at the water, and I will say that as well. And I remember it from when we did our walk of the neighborhood and look at property by property.
Yeah.
And the observations on this particular property, I remember that, and I remember a lot of items being thrown off to the left-hand side if you face the cedar swamp. So.
I know I have more pictures back at work. I have a ton of pictures of this place. I didn't put them on.
And they specifically asked me on that, at that site walk day, I had asked them about the litter that and branches and stuff that was thrown into the swamp. And they asked, well, should we take them out? And I said, leave them because they've become part of the habitat now. Sometimes you do more disruption of cleaning out that stuff after it's been in there for a while than before it was in there. So.
All right, well, I can write this up, and if anyone also has pictures on their phone from previously, that might help.
Yeah, I will take a look on my phone, Mary. And take a look in the memory stick of the camera for our office. I used that the day that we went down there.
Okay.
So that was probably maybe June of last year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Kelly might have downloaded them, but I'll have to check into that. Yeah, the file we have for them is pretty thick.
Of course. All right, so at this point, do we have a motion on Loveland Road for enforcement?
I'll make the motion.
We have a first from Michelle. Do we have a second motion? Was that Hayden?
I'll make a second. Yep, sorry, I was coughing.
That's all right. Hayden with the second motion. Mary, pull the board for 33 Loveland Road enforcement.
Dan,
Yes,
Fred,
Yes,
Michelle,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes. All right, so a bylaw working group is pretty much our last thing. There is Michelle and myself, and I know Robin is itching to be on a bylaw, helping us bridge the gap between, the other organizations in town. So I think it would be good if Robin was on there. She can provide some insight and understand where the commission's coming from with its thoughts and methodologies, and then so forth, vice versa. So, Michelle, do you still want to be on the bylaw group? You do, okay.
Unless you're tired of me and would like somebody else on it.
No, I didn't know. So it's the three of us. If, I don't think we should do any more than three because it would be considered a quorum. Even though it's a working group, I don't think maybe that's a good idea of more than, we could do two groups of three if maybe Fred and Dan, Clarissa and Hayden have time and want to do, kind of do some sort of brainstorming. But of course, obviously, Dan, you're really good with getting ideas off to myself and Mary, and Fred, you've been awesome with some newfound interesting scientific data. So, we just got to see where this COVID thing goes and how we can position ourselves to present this to the town effectively and get buy-in and have them understand. And it's a process, and this is a process that any town goes through. So, all right.
Yeah, and I think it may actually be helpful that we have COVID, because probably the best way to get the information out is Zoom meetings, and the people seem to like that. So
Yeah, and I always welcome people's, citizens, their feedback. We're on a board protecting the resources, but, someone may have a different idea or a different approach, and maybe it'll work better. Maybe something we think that'll work may need to be tweaked. So, all right, so is that all you wanted with the bylaw working group, Mary, just to kind of keep that fresh?
yeah, just so you guys because I'm afraid fall town meeting is gonna
Creep up on us, yeah.
pretty quickly. And and unfortunately, it was kind of nice when we were closed down, because I had a fair bit more time to work on it. Right now things are zooey, but I would, as I have time, I'd be glad to help.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, Mary, did you get a chance to do an agent's report or anything major that you want to cover?
No, I guess one site visit that I did do a couple weeks ago that I feel like I should bring before you guys is, it's not a huge deal, but Fish and Game, and maybe a few of you were out at that site a few years ago. They came before us. Their Frisbee course. At any rate, it's near the wetland, and someone new has taken management over the mowing, and the old person who was mowing was like, oh, they're expanding the mowed area, they're going into the wetland. And it's not a huge expansion, but they are mowing areas where there's a little bit of skunk cabbage. And really what needs to happen probably is a site walk with a guy and say, all right, we just need to stake out a few areas that you shouldn't be mowing in. And I do have pictures. It wasn't terrible, but And, you know, they're having a little bit of a feud, of course, so,
Well, that area is a very delicate ecosystem,
yeah.
and we want to make sure that you know, we're protecting that to the best of our ability. You know, I don't want to disrupt anything that's going on there. People enjoy that disc golf. It's been
Yeah.
there for years, but you know, with mowing, there could be any kind of, you know, turtle or something that comes up out of the water. You got to be careful in that area. That system's almost similar to, you know, the Black Point area. That's
Yeah.
where a lot of the biological components that filter the lake happen. So,
And where there's mowing, there's walking.
Yep,
of course.
it's true. So I think maybe we just need to, I don't know whether they should put it, they need to somehow designate the area to be mowed, you know, with whatever, with stakes or something. And we, you know,
I mean, they're fish and game, so they should understand and
Right.
value
Well,
natural.
if it doesn't swim and it doesn't run, they don't know it.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Right in the name, fish and game. Doesn't
Yeah.
say plants.
So, you know, I definitely think that a site visit walk and maybe putting up some sort of barriers or something.
I think if we do a site walk, we're also going to see there are places where the dirt is starting to erode into like that natural river that goes through there. Because I think they're playing pretty close to some of the water.
Yeah, if you go down Minebrook, you can get a really good idea of what's going on there.
I
Yeah.
go down my brook every day. I love my
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I love that swamp. I go nice and slow. I rescued
It's
the
a
turtle
really-
there.
It's a really cool swamp. I mean, that's where
Yeah, it's beautiful.
the main, I think that's the main brook that brings water into the lake.
Yeah, I love that street. I love to go down there nice and slow and check everything out.
Yeah, well, do you guys want me to set up a site? I mean, do you guys want to visit the site as well? Or we could try to set something up for Saturday? Or do you just, I don't know how you want to deal with it.
You know, it may be better, Mary, to not do a site visit on a Saturday with them.
Okay,
Because those guys, you know, I got family members that do disc golf. Those guys are out on a course at 7 a.m.
okay.
It gets busy, so, you know,
Maybe a weekday?
maybe a weekday, and if I'm still working from home, but if it's in advance, I can plan around to get there, maybe with you and maybe a couple of, you know, we can get Shelley.
If I can swing it, I'd be happy to go. I'd love to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyone else that wants to go.
No, you got at that point, you'd have a quorum. No, you
Site
no
visit.
more than 3.
4, yeah, 4 is a quorum.
Yeah,
Well, that would be more than 3.
I don't count for quorum though.
well, I mean, we can figure it out when we get to that point, but thank you, Fred, for bringing that up.
All right, so I will, I'll try to contact them and see what's going on.
If anyone gets a chance, I know this is gonna, I've already alerted Mary to it, but if anyone's been down Claybert Ave, Lake Parkway, the state has begun its process of clearing back all of the easements. And I have to tell you, I'm a bit disturbed at how it looks. It literally looks like a tornado just cut the trees and then threw them in the wetlands. So Mary's going to try to communicate with someone from the state. If she doesn't have luck, then I will reach out to someone. I know a few people at DOT. But that needs to be addressed, and erosion controls need to go up sooner than later. You drive down that road, what did you think of it?
It's a disaster every day, but I figured the state comes in and they're going to do what they're going to do, and I didn't know, this was all well before I came on board, so I just wasn't sure if this was already agreed upon.
Well, the thing is we walked that whole road. We met with them in a meeting and said, you check this area, this area, this area, this area with erosion controls. Everything was hunky-dory, but it's typical mentality of DOT. They are considered exempt under Wetlands Protection Act. So because it is considered public health and safety. So anyway, with that said, if we don't have anything else, can we get a motion for adjournment? Fred?
I'll make that motion.
Wow, it should be Fred.
I second.
Dan seconding. Wow, Fred didn't do it.
I know, he must be sleeping.
Yeah.
No, not sleeping.
Mr. Adjournment. All right, guys. I appreciate everything that you do. I'm sorry we ran longer. I didn't think the COCs were gonna take that long in discussion, but and I obviously saved Loveland for last because I wanted to be thorough with it. So anyway, thank you very much. Mary, do you need to poll or is it's unanimous? So
Yeah, it's unanimous, I think. I think it's okay.
all right.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
guys. Bye.
Bye.